Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kayla and this is my 6-week postpartum update for baby number 2. So I gave birth to Colton Allen, my second baby, born 6 weeks ago, and I am now officially 6 weeks postpartum. Today is August 25th, 2024, and I'm going to tell you about the physical side of being 6 weeks after birth with my second baby, and that compared to Connor's, my very first child's 6 weeks post-birth. So with Colton, I feel like overall his recovery from birth was the same but different than Connor's. I feel like there was different challenges with this one than there was the first. So the things that were bothering me recovering the first time were easy this time and vice versa. I'd say overall this one was maybe a teensy bit harder to recover from. I don't know if it's because it was my second or because I'm just 2 years older. But first starters, the bleeding after birth. I bled for 4.5 weeks this time, where with Connor's birth I bled for only 4.5 days after birth, and that was it. And I even had way more damage for Connor's birth than I did Colton's. With Connor's I had an episiotomy and multiple stitches where they cut, and then for Colton's I only tore just a little bit, and I didn't even have an episiotomy. So you would think the recovery would have been easier, but that's not the case. Also, with Connor's I felt completely back to normal about 2.5 weeks postpartum. About this time, it's about now, 6 weeks, I feel completely back to normal. This time I thought there was something wrong at the 2-week mark, and I worried, the stitches hurt. I was really sore for a really long time this time, and this time my uterus is really sore, even still a little bit now, where before it was never sore. And this time I feel like I've bounced back a little bit better, like visually. My stomach size has decreased, and I know I started off the two pregnancies different weights and finished at different weights. But I still lost significantly more weight this time than last. Not significantly, but at 6 weeks, the 6 week mark, I am down 25 pounds from my highest pregnancy weight this time. And at Connor's, I was down, I think, 20 pounds exactly from that highest pregnancy weight. And for Connor, see, right when I got home from the hospital, I was 13 pounds down, and I think I was exactly 15 pounds down this time, a few days after birth. Maybe it's 13 too. I really don't remember. But I remember I was a little bit more down in weight from this one right when I got home from the hospital. So in terms of milk supply for breastfeeding, with Connor's pregnancy, on the day 3, my milk supply came in hot and heavy. I remember I woke up from a nap and it was from nothing to level 10, and it was just so painful, and I was engorged for the 6 weeks straight, couldn't get relief, almost got mastitis, or clogged ducts, which could have led to mastitis. I had a ton of trouble, a ton of discomfort. The letdowns were so powerful. I would have milk letdowns constantly, and I would just soak through everything. I'd wake up with the bed soaked, my pajamas soaked. My milk would just start spraying in the shower when I took a shower from my oversupply and the pressure. That was really tricky, and I didn't have that to that extent this time because I kind of went in with a plan, because they say second time moms have a worse problem with oversupply if that was the case the first time. So I was like, I can't do that again if that's the case, so I came with a plan. This time my milk came in slowly, started on day 2 after birth instead of day 3, and it slowly went from day 2 to day 4 fully coming in, and that was really nice. I also started a method of I only fed on one side, and I still kind of am starting to finish that, but I would only feed on one side per feeding, and that would force my body where it's like, you've got to stop producing so much. The baby does not need this much milk. And like Colton would drink, and it'd be like as if nothing, he never drank, like ever. And so whenever I started doing that, about 2 or 3 days after my milk came in, because I was like, I gotta do something, I would just put the haka on the other side and just collect just enough to be comfortable. And after 2 days of doing that, I started to see the effects where like my body cut down significantly on my production, because it's like it couldn't keep up that demand with how much pressure there was. It was almost as if the baby wasn't drinking in terms of like how I was doing that. And so it made it where it was just a slight oversupply instead of a massive oversupply. And that has helped tremendously. Also this time I noticed this significant dip in my supply at the 4-week mark. And with Connor, it was at the 7-week mark. And both were just for no reason, like nothing had changed, and it was just all of a sudden. And especially with Connor, how I had such a massive oversupply, it went from like overnight to like busting at the seams to nothing. And I was panicked. I was like, oh my gosh, what if I can't make enough milk for him at all? Now I've got the opposite problem. This time that was a lot different. It didn't have that, thank goodness. I mean, we're not at 7 weeks postpartum yet, but that shift happened at 4 weeks, and I just increased my nursing on demand more, and then that just fixed pretty much the next day. Or with Connor, that issue lasted for like a week, and it was really, really, really scary. Colton's gained less weight than Connor did at this point, but that's also relative, because Colton started out at birth at a lower weight and lost some weight after birth, where Connor didn't. And that was because I was starting the every other feed and my milk hadn't come in, and I knew after that, I knew that was the solution for me, and it would just take a few minutes for me to regulate his body, and we're now in sync, and it's just perfect. So we're just smooth sailing from here. I'm happy to be ready to exercise, get on to normal life, because I would push Connor and Colton in the stroller together these last 6 weeks, and it would make me bleed, like increasingly, because just of the weight of both of them, and I couldn't take them on walks. So I felt very limited, and I've been trying to not run, trying to just be gentle with myself while I recover these 6 weeks. And also the difference is with Connor's pregnancy, I was able to truly relax those 6 weeks, and this one I'm not, because I'm taking care of Colton. That might be why I bled still for a long time after. I still am going to keep the 12 weeks, which they call the 4th trimester. I'm going to uphold that, because they say if you start running or doing actual full exercise like you did before, then you damage your pelvic floor, because it's already weakened from pregnancy and birth. And so I'm going to uphold that and just not run or jump for these next 6 weeks, and just give my body time to just heal and practice just like engaging the pelvic floor, trying to get that back together and tight. And I did not ask my doctor about the diastasis recti, the ab separation. I forgot to do that this time. But I feel like it's a lot less this time than it was with Connor, but maybe I don't know. This time also, so with Connor's pregnancy, I got stretch marks significantly the last like 2 weeks of pregnancy. They just showed up, and they looked terrible postpartum. I mean, it looked like someone came after me with a knife. Like, it was terrible, or a cat just scratched. And this pregnancy, I had 0 stretch marks. I think the belly just filled out the skin that had been stretched, so it made it appear I didn't have stretch marks, because postpartum I have stretch marks, and I didn't for my 38-week pregnancy, but I do now. So I think it was just the pressure filling in those spots, and now it's back, but also it's nowhere near where it was after Connor's birth, because I didn't get any more stretch marks, and so they're pretty much not noticeable. So it's kind of how it was before I got pregnant again for the 2nd time, to be honest. So that's nice. And my stomach's much smaller at this point than it was with Connor, and I feel like visually more back to myself than I did at this point with Connor. And I've still got a little ways to go to get back to this pregnancy's pre-pregnancy weight. And I probably won't hit that till probably like 6 or 7 months postpartum, like I did with Connor. I think I was like 6.5 months postpartum with Connor when I hit my exact pre-pregnancy weight. And I assume probably the same for this one. I'll assume 6 months. And I didn't start looking or feeling like I did before pregnancy until like, I think it was the year mark, or maybe even a little after that. Yeah, I'd say it was like the 14 or 15 postpartum mark. So I'm excited to get myself back like that, and just to feel like myself. I'm not able to go to any of my husband's football games for the last 3 years, the last 2 years, because with Connor, when he was first born, he couldn't get his calves sweaty, And so that whole season was a wash. And then last year I was still breastfeeding Connor to bed, so I couldn't leave him. So that's the this whole season was a wash. And this time I have Colton with his cast, can't get sweaty. And next year, hopefully I'll still be breastfeeding Colton. I won't be able to leave him. So there'll be 4 years in a row I'm just uninvolved with football, which is terrible. And then the year before that was, Lucy, I couldn't leave her. And the year before that was COVID. So it's really been, it'll be 6 years without me really being involved with my husband's career, which is terrible, but it's how it is. So I plan to hopefully breastfeed Colton for, I hope 2 years, or maybe it's slightly bit over that. That's my goal, because with Connor I started weaning at 1 year, and it took about 6 months to fully wean after that, because I was trying to get pregnant. And I actually breastfed through my 10 weeks of Colton's pregnancy. And this time, this is our last kid, Colton, so I'm not planning on getting pregnant. So this is the end of this chapter, and I actually can fully say I'm excited to move forward. And this has been fun, but I'm ready to leave this behind and move forward in life and enjoy now. Tonight officially will be starting the mini pill, which is the preferred method of birth control I've chosen, and I'll be on it for a year because it's the best thing to take while breastfeeding. It's progesterone only, and so I'll be taking the mini pill for this next year, and you have to take it like the exact same time every day for it to be 99% effective, which is a little stressful because last time it was like, oh, if we get pregnant, we get pregnant. We want a second kid. This time it's like, we don't want a third, so it's very stressful to make sure I follow the rules to a T. And it will take a week for this to set in before we're cleared for protection. So we've got just 1 extra week after 6 weeks of waiting to ensure we don't have another pregnancy. So, because we are very fertile and we get pregnant quickly, so I don't want that to happen again on accident. Because I will not be shy to tell that child, you were unplanned, my friend. A surprise, but unplanned. So, if you count a year from now, that will be about a little over 13 months postpartum. I'll be on the mini pill. And then at the 13-month postpartum mark, I'll transition to taking the combo pill, which I took most of my teenage years from heavy periods and issues. So I'm very comfortable with that. So I'll transition back to that, even though I continued planning to breastfeed, because at that point, I don't care if it affects my milk supply. I'll be trying to lessen breastfeeding anyway at that point. So I'm totally fine with that. So I'll be on the combo pill from this point on next year for forever until I go through menopause. So it'll be a very, 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 very long time. And a year from now, I'm going to be transitioning Colton out of this nursery from his crib to where Connor is right now. And Connor will be moving to the other room in a toddler bed. And they'll be like that for about 2 years. And then they'll switch again. Colton will be in a toddler bed in the other room. Connor will be in the twin beds. And they'll be like that for 2 years. And Colton will join Connor back to the twin bedroom, which is really Colton's room, and they'll be in that until Connor's in middle school when he wants his own room. And then I'll separate them, make the twin beds a king bed, get Connor the other guest room, and that'll be his, and Colton will have the room he's been in. And so they'll both have king and queen size beds and nice rooms to themselves from middle school on, or earlier if they want. And this room a year from now will be my office, and I'm transforming that and gonna have my desk over here against the wall where Colton's name sign is and crib. This will be my library, the closet. I'll have all my books up, and I'll have my 2 little reclining chairs here with my little stool, and it will be the most peaceful little office room you could imagine. So I'm very, very excited about that. But anyway, so that's my 6-week postpartum update, and I'm happy to say I'm on the other side of pregnancy and childbirth and babies and newborns. I cannot believe I'm saying that. This chapter has been a long one. It's been over 4 years of pregnancy, birth, infancy, and just total. And it's over. As quick as it comes, it's over. I've looked forward to this my whole life, the build up, and now I get to talk about it the rest of my life to my children, and like my mom did, how highly she spoke of that for her. So I looked forward to it so much because of that. So the cycle continues, and I hope to be helping and sharing this with my children, sons and their wives one day. So it's very exciting. I can't believe. Yeah, it was March 26, 2020 was my very first day of my first pregnancy. to July 14th, 2024, the very last day of my last pregnancy. So here we are, 3 babies in between. One, lost to early miscarriage in heaven, and then 2 here on earth, my sweet boys. So thank you so much for following on my journey, and stay tuned for the next monthly updates for Colton until he turns 1, and then just for major holidays. So thanks guys, see ya.